Wow. Yeah. 6 months, 90 pounds. That's, or almost, well, that's very close to 100 pounds, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
say 100 pounds. That's 100
Yeah,
pounds in
yeah.
6 months.
It's
Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching The Healthy Alternative. With me today is Mosi. I am so excited to have this conversation with you, man. It seems like you've achieved some great outcomes. So we look forward to breaking all those down, sharing them with the community, and just seeing your whole story. So for those of you who are interested, stay tuned. It's coming up next. I wanted to start off by getting an idea of without, I don't want to go in depth, right? But I want to know, like,
right.
what are some of the greater outcomes that you have gotten from your wellness journey? We'll start with the outcomes without the detail, and then we'll go back and we'll bring it full circle.
Okay. Okay. So for starters, well, I guess I without going into detail, the feeling, like how I feel, now as compared to 6 months ago,
Mm,
like night and day. And
mm,
it's almost to because like it's your everyday reality, you're not really thinking about, because I was having health issues, but I wasn't thinking about it every single day. But now that I'm moving towards being better, and like working on my health, it's I notice it all the time now. Just
right.
because it's like, okay, well, I had this issue, I had this issue, I had this issue, and now I don't experience any of that anymore.
Nice. That's a good one, man. Focus. That's something that I noticed as well. Like, what I noticed was when we're really, really unhealthy, our body's screaming at us, but we don't really hear it. It's kind of like
Right.
we're numb to it.
Right.
Okay. What else? What
Exactly.
else was something that you got from this?
Well, I definitely feel like my spirituality grew, as opposed to, where I was before. So I don't try to, I guess I'm not trying to incorporate as like religion, like a lot into this,
Mm,
but it definitely brought me closer to my faith, just
mm,
because, when I was looking at different foods and I was researching different foods, everything that I was looking at aligns with what God told us to eat, like in my faith.
mm.
So it was like they were intertwined. So it
Yeah.
definitely made me more religious. It definitely made me more spiritual and want to have like a greater connection.
Okay. That's awesome. Anything physical that you like major that you noticed?
Oh man, when I dropped from a 4X to a medium. That
What?
was yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm looking at it in the store. I'm like, this looks like it's for a teenager, like a boy. Like there's no way I'm about to fit into this shirt. And when I put it on and it wasn't, tight or nothing like that, I'm like, man, get out of here.
I'm in here.
Yeah, right, right, right.
Oh, that reminds me of my brother Steven, because we just did a live a couple days ago, and he talked about what it's like to go. I think he said from a 4X to like a 1X or something, and he's
Mm.
like, bro, them X's make a difference,
They
you know.
really do. They really do. It's no joke. And so when I put on, because I kept a couple of, like, I didn't want to get rid of anything too early, just in case,
Okay.
I put back on weight or, anything like that. So I kept a couple of those bigger shirts around. And so once I got smaller, I put them back on. I'm like, what is all this extra room?
All this,
Like,
this a sheet.
who's supposed to fit in here? Like, what is this?
Do you happen to have any like pictures of you in the old shirts?
I do. Yeah, I do. I do have
Okay.
a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's what Jenny Craig used to do, man. Back in the day, they would have people lose all this weight and then put themselves in their old clothes, and people
Right.
would be fitting in one, like they have pants, and they were able to fit their whole body in one of the pant legs and stuff like that.
Yeah, right,
Crazy,
right, right. And it's
crazy.
just, yeah, because puts you in the mindset of like, how was I fitting into this before?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
That's deep. All right, let's get into it. Um, what was that moment that was like, I gotta do this, I gotta make a change? What was the catalyst?
So I would say it was an amalgamation of a few things, just because, like you said earlier, our bodies will be screaming at us, but we won't necessarily be hearing it. So
Mm-hmm.
there were warning signs all throughout, the months of, certain things going on with my health. But because they weren't, I guess it didn't seem like I never ended up in the hospital or, anything like that. I just kind of kept moving on. But definitely looking at myself in the mirror because I was avoiding that for the longest time, just because I knew I was big. So
Yeah.
I was definitely avoiding looking at that, stepping on the scale and seeing that number. Oh my gosh, bruh, that lit the fire in my belly. It's like there's no way, like there's no way. I was almost 300 pounds.
Wow.
And yeah, so when I saw that number, I'm just like, nah, you gotta do something.
Mm.
And just the family pictures,
Mm-hmm.
like they would, because we had I believe I sent it to you, but my before and after picture, the before picture, it was Eid. I'm a Muslim, so we had the Eid holiday, and I wasn't taking pictures, but this is a family picture, like it's a holiday,
Right.
like they want everybody together in the same picture. So reluctantly, I agreed to go ahead and take it, and then just looking at that afterwards, I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I gotta do something because there's just no way, man. There's just no
Mm.
way.
Dude, that's very interesting. So, I've asked a few of my guests this same question, right?
Right.
And now I'm starting to see a theme. Uh, People when they get to a certain place, I don't know where that is. It might be different for everybody. They start
Right.
they start getting away from the mirror. They start getting away from pictures, videos. Some of them told me it's a subconscious thing, right?
Right.
And then some of them basically, would avoid it, and then for whatever reason, kind of similar to your story, they did take a picture, or their wife or somebody showed them a picture of themselves, and they were like, "Oh my god," you know what I mean?
Right.
Because
Right.
you don't
Yes.
look for so long, you just avoid it.
Right. 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 Not only that, but if you're not, and this is why I was bringing up the me not really having any dire health issues, because I was waking up not feeling like I'm in
Mm,
immediate danger, or like
true.
feeling that my health is, at risk every day. So I'm thinking I'm fine. I
Right.
put on I would go out and buy new shirts and whatnot. I'd be like, "Shit, I look good in this, like I'm straight." But it was, it's just when seeing yourself through like a different lens, or seeing yourself through somebody's eyes, can definitely be a wake-up call for sure.
Facts. Now, like, I wanna see if we can determine, how do you think you got to 300 pounds, nearly 300 pounds? Where, like, how did that cycle start? Have you kind of identified, you know what I mean, that path there?
Yes, for sure. Food addiction. It was my inability to say no, my inability to uh not overeat. It just got to a point. And see, here's the thing too, because I've had major weight loss in the past, and I've
Mm-hmm.
actually posted before and after pictures in
Mm,
the AHA group before. And both times I gained all of that weight back plus more. So this time I actually set out and strove to do something different than I had, those past few times, because I was like, this can't be a common trend to why I
mm,
drop down and then I go right back up. Like that's madness.
mm.
So yeah, it was definitely just overeating. And so I'm a truck driver. So
Okay.
I'm at the time, like I was out on the road a lot, and there aren't exactly a lot of healthy options, at the truck stops, or
Right.
places that you go into. So and I was using that as an excuse at the time, but I
Mhm.
also knew that, yeah, I just wanted to order this food. I just
Right,
I
right,
just wanted
yeah.
to get I just wanted to get this food, any way I can get to it. So yeah, definitely not having, it's the sedentary lifestyle, so not being active, or just kind of sitting down for 11, 12, 13 hours a day, on top of me overeating and having that
Mhm.
food addiction, definitely created a catalyst for me to gain all that weight.
I wanted to because you had mentioned that you dealt with some yo-yoing, which is super common. You know what I
Right.
mean? A lot of people experience that. I want to dive a little deeper into the yo-yoing. So when you I guess you realize, okay, I need to make a change. You started what searching for different ways, different, maybe diet plans or whatever, and then you came across AHA. Tell us about like you initially finding AHA, uh,
Okay.
experiencing that first weight loss journey, whatever, however you kind of look at it. And
Right.
then what is your mindset after you kind of gain the weight back?
Okay, so I first came across your videos on water fasting because I was trying to. I mean, we heard about like my family. We heard about Dr. Sabi, like a couple of years prior to that. And when I was listening to his lectures, he would talk a lot about water fasting and like the benefits of that. So when I was out on the internet trying to search for water fasting videos, that's how I came across you.
Okay.
And I came across the Facebook group shortly after that, and that's just kind of how I first came to AHA. And then like scrolling through the post and kind of seeing everybody, like the supportive community factor, and everybody's kind of encouraging each other like to go forward and things like that, that made me want to stick around. And
Mm,
also in watching your videos, you do the research. Like you don't say, oh, this is my, I mean, you speak about your experiences. However, you also include, if you do the research, this is what you will find.
mhm.
And not a lot of, I guess, health conscious people on the internet do, they mention like studies and things like that. So that is kind of what attracted me, and that is kind of what kept me around. Now, the first time, so I guess the past two times that I've lost weight and I've gained back the weight, it was, what I believe is, I got to a certain weight and then I was looking at myself in the mirror, I was seeing all the progress, and then
Mhm.
I kind of started to relax and kind of say,
Mm,
okay, well, I can have this now, I can have
mm,
this now, I
mm.
can incorporate certain foods back into my diet. And but it wasn't okay, I can have a healthy version of this or I can have a healthy version of this. It was like, I'm getting the worst kind. I'm getting the worst version of this dish I could possibly have, because
Right.
it's been 6 or 7 weeks since I've had this food. So I don't want to feel like I'm like quote unquote denying myself anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And so after doing it once, doing it twice, I'm like, all right, well, we need to get back on our regiment. But then I see something else that I want. So, I
Mm,
go and do it again and again. And then after like a week or two, like you form a pattern. So it then becomes harder to turn it back around and, get back to what you're supposed to be doing, because you're like, oh, I'm eating all of these bad for you, but amazing tasting foods. So why would I'm not thinking about a salad right now. Like when I know that there's this new restaurant that just opened that I want to go try. And well, I've lost like so much weight, so it doesn't matter, that
mhm.
I'm going to go and have this meal. So after doing that for a couple of weeks, that turns into a couple of months, you find yourself in this position that I just gained all this weight back, not acknowledging that, well, this started off as one meal, and then you
Right.
turn it into two, and then you turned it into a couple of days, and then you turn it into a couple of weeks. So by not denying myself, well, feeling like I'm not denying myself certain foods, I ended back in this place, and it was very. I felt ashamed, man. It was very just disappointing, which turned into me being emotional, which turned into me gaining more weight just because I was so ashamed of the fact that I had just put all this weight back on.
Mm, that's deep. Yeah, it perpetuates, that shame is it's powerful stuff. And
For
a lot
sure.
of people, yeah, a lot of people deal with shame uh inappropriately,
Right.
because there's an appropriate way to deal with shame. It's actually a pretty big topic. When we do our wellness classes where we have a group of people for 6 weeks or whatever it is, we go through shame and we break down a lot of emotions. A lot of people deal with shame. Some people deal with shame and don't even know they're dealing with it.
Right.
That's one of the really scary things. We deal with depression and don't know it.
For sure.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
being able to identify that stuff, deal with it, have some tools to deal with it properly, I think help go a long way when you're kind of backtracking or spiraling. But
Right.
I wanted to ask you, what do you think, or maybe how were you able to eventually get out of that pattern, like, or maybe what could someone do to maybe avoid the pattern, and then what did you do to get out of that pattern?
So I feel like it's a combination of things. One, knowing, I guess, like being self-aware. Like my dad said, one of the most important things to me, which, and it's really simple. It's not even like this profound like quote or anything, but he just said the only way to manage your weight is to know what it is. Because again, I had avoided the scale for so long, and I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
trying to, I wasn't looking at pictures or anything like that. So, just being aware of where you're at, and exactly, what your goals are and exactly what you need to do to accomplish those goals. Because I didn't really have a clear path or plan. I was just kind of winging it. I tried this for a little bit, and I was like, okay, well, this works, so I'm gonna stick to this for a while, and then, all right, well, I'm a if I end up eating a bad meal or whatever, I'm a water fast for like 5 days, that'll fix it all.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was just definitely. So I would say even before, you start like your health journey, or, just having kind of like a clear plan, and like knowing exactly what your goals are and knowing exactly what you want to accomplish, so that it kind of helps you to stay better on track. And then,
Mm-hmm.
so for me, it was just, like I said, once I saw that picture from Eve, man, it just hit me. It hit me so deep. And I don't, like, you spoke on depression, like people go through depression and, we don't really know it. I definitely feel like that was a time in my life where I was depressed, just because after seeing that and letting, especially knowing that I had made so much progress and then let it all go,
Mm-hmm.
after that. I had posted in the group. I was getting so many comments, saying, oh, great job, congratulations, keep going and things like that. So, I'm sitting there crying, looking at the old posts, like, man, I was on it, man. I was doing my thing, man. I don't know what happened. So yeah, that for sure, just kind of put the fire into me to to turn it around and start getting back to where I need to be.
I think we create. So one of the things that Stephen and I, as well as Jonathan, um, we did our best to promote early on as we were developing the community, is like a genuine interaction. We
Right.
didn't want to portray ourselves in a light that wasn't true.
Yeah.
So what you'll see as you watch the videos, you will see us um, being honest about some of the things that we've experienced, the ups and downs, in hopes that it would encourage you all to be honest as well, because it's part of it, right? Like, it really
Right.
is part of it.
No,
It's
for sure.
to be honest with you, it is so uncommon for someone to, let's say, drop 100 pounds and then just keep that off and never have the
Right.
back and forth. It's the
Right.
most uncommon thing. But the problem is, when people lose that weight and they gain it back, they go away. So nobody knows, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. You done fell off the map.
Right. You
You
fell off,
you
so
off
nobody
grid.
knows.
And nobody finds you.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, dang, man, I know what's going on, because I've seen it happen so many different times,
Right.
but they're gone. I can't do nothing. But one
Right.
thing that I have noticed is people come back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Right.
they go through their process and they come back. So I wanted to develop a space that was safe to leave and come back and tell your story and not be judged. And this is actually a good point. We recently moved our started moving people over to our own platform. So we've got the Facebook group that you're a part of,
Right.
and we needed more control, because, like, the environment that we had developed on Facebook was, we no longer had control over it. Like, Facebook,
Right.
like, when you own a Facebook group, you just basically are the figurehead.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
it's crazy. So we created our own community that mimics Facebook. It acts like, so it's really easy to like adopt, and it's incredible. So I want to definitely invite you as well as everybody else who's watching, to join us. I'm gonna put the link in the description box, but it's called ahacommunities.com, or you could go to AHA Communities. Well, yeah, ahacommunities.com will get you there. But I'm gonna put the link in the bio in the comment section, because I just think that community building is one of the biggest keys to people being successful. And you kind of really like solidified it for me, because you're the second or third guest I've had recently that was like, yeah, I went away, but I came back. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because like I said, we briefly spoke about, shame and like how powerful of a tool that is, and me not wanting to, like I said, it was accountability. Like I didn't want to take accountability for the fact that I had, put back on all of this weight. So, I paused the group for a while. I was like, I gotta go fix this, and do it myself. And I understand what you're saying about, like there being a supportive community, like with like free of judgment, stuff like that. I admire that. That it's not common that that those platforms are out there, especially for people who are trying to achieve what specifically like we're trying to achieve. So I think that it's great. Like I said, I was not trying to, I was not, but I also came back just because I know how supportive the community is. I know, how awesome the people, that are part of AHA are. So that's why I wanted to come back and say, hey, I struggled, I've been through some things. I've lost weight. I've put back on weight, but is just to let people know that if you have these setbacks, it's still possible to achieve what you want to achieve. You just
Right.
have to kind of rewire and like remap and, get back to it.
Is definitely, it's part of it. It's part of it. So I want to ask, what was, so when, okay, I guess what was your highest weight, and then what's your weight at right now?
So my highest ever was 293, and that
Okay.
was at the last year actually.
Last year.
The summer of 2021, I was 293, and then I dropped down to 223, and I had actually posted that progress in the group, because I was super proud, and like I dropped all that weight. And
Yeah.
then so that took me about 2.5 months to accomplish. And then shortly after that, I started putting back on weight. And back in March, which is when I started this specific health journey, I was 291.
Okay.
So yeah, March 10th, I weighed myself, I stepped on the scale, I was 291. I was like, something has to change. And now I am 193.
I'm sorry, brother. Your connection just dropped. Could you repeat that?
Oh yeah. All of it or just the last
No, no, no.
part?
Just the last. You had said March. In March, you were at 291, and now you're at
Yes, now I'm 193.
193. Wow. So,
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you've dropped 100 pounds since your highest weight. But
Correct. Yeah.
in the past, what is that? March, April, May, June,
About 6 months.
6 months. Wow. Yeah, 6 months, 90 pounds. That's, or almost, well, that's very close to 100 pounds, man.
Yeah.
You say
It's
100 pounds. That's 100
yeah.
pounds in 6 months.
It's 98, but the reason that I chose to post in the group was just because I haven't been under 200 pounds since about 2012.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been about 10 years since I've seen a one on the scale. So
Yeah.
that was definitely a huge It was funny too, because when you go from like 200 like to 199, it looks like your actual weight is losing weight too, because it dropped down to a one. So
Facts.
so I was like, that is wild.
Yeah, they call it Wonderland. Everybody's gonna want to know how you were able to achieve that amount of weight loss in 6 months, because honestly, Um, that's pretty significant. It's not often that you see people dropping 100 pounds in 6 months. I mean,
Right.
I do my videos talking about it, and obviously, you see those videos highlighted, but that's
Right.
rare. That's rare. So what method were you using? Like what are some of the techniques?
Yeah, so initially when I started out, my goal was to only eat alkaline electric. For
Okay.
anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's Dr. Sabi. He was a natural healer. That is the diet that he recommended that anybody of African descent eat because it consisted of foods that were least detrimental to our biological DNA. So I initially set out to only eat those foods. And so during that period, I ate cooked foods. I ate a lot of raw food. I would do, 2 week, 3 weeks raw fast to where I would only eat raw food. And then I got to a point where I started to incorporate non-alkaline foods, but they were raw. So if I was going to do something that wasn't alkaline, I would do it raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I also did a couple of melon fasts, because watermelon, black seed watermelon, not none of that seedless stuff over
Right,
here.
right, right.
So I would do black seeded watermelon for 3 to 5 days. I would do cantaloupe for 3 to 5 days, at a time, and that definitely accelerated. Ramadan was in the middle of there somewhere also, so I wouldn't say it accelerated it, but I continued to lose weight throughout the month.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, that was it. The alkaline vegan was the main thing that I guess propelled the weight loss. But raw food, I mean, nothing beats raw, man. Raw is king.
I guess one final question. People always are curious. Did you develop any loose skin? Because you lost 100 pounds in 6 months. So that should cause, quite a bit of loose skin, especially when you look at like traditional dieting. What is that? If you want to share that, I don't know if that's a sensitive area.
Yeah. So this is yeah, I was afraid of that too, just because I hadn't done any water fasting. I know that, during water fasting, there's what you guys call the shrink week, and that's
Yeah.
when, your body just kind of like tightens up. No, I haven't. And I feel like the melon fast assisted with that just because, I wasn't really like digesting food, I guess, like at the time. So when my body, and it took me 6 months. Like if it had
Mm-hmm.
taken me like 3 months, that probably would have been something I was dealing with. But because it was more of a gradual, loss, I don't really experience any of that. Now, don't get me wrong, I definitely need to hit the gym
Right,
and
right, right.
get some things like right, you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
so I can get back to doing me.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's definitely because I mean I've seen that too, like on social
Yeah.
media and the different platforms and things like that. People say they did raw vegan or they did certain things or whatnot. They lose like 80 pounds and they just have like all of this skin and whatnot. To me, I just feel like if you do it the right way, you do it naturally, and it's more of a instead of just dropping all of this weight, you're eating foods that like agree with you. You're even if you do water fast, as long as you're not binge eating afterwards or whatnot, you shouldn't. To me, that's not something that you should experience. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I was almost 300 pounds, but it's not like I wasn't like 400, 500, 600 pounds. So I get, if you're like that kind of weight and then you drop to 200 pounds, I could understand that. Like that makes sense. But for me, yeah, I just because there were times where I would feel like it was, a little like wobbly or whatnot. But
Mhm.
then, I would melon fast or whatnot, and they would just tighten that right on up.
Okay. Well, that's a good little tidbit then for people. Um, yeah, loose skin is one of the things that people fear, and they'll almost use it as an excuse not to lose weight. And
Right.
I always like to highlight and hear people's stories with loose skin because if it was your fear, it was somebody else's fear. So you
100%.
saying that, I was nervous about it, but I was able to avoid it. We do have methods. We understand loose skin, so we have methods for avoiding it if you're willing to do the work properly. You know what I mean? Listen, man, this has been incredible, incredible. I love
Likewise.
your thank you. I love your vibration. I'm very I think that you're going to be a huge inspiration to not just our community, but those around you. Like I can tell, you know what I'm saying? Like you have an energy about you. I could tell that you're going to be inspiring others. So, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. Allow yourself grace, you know what I mean? To not necessarily be perfect in this walk, because that's not how it's supposed to be anyway. But with that being said, did you have any final words or any social media or anything that you want to plug?
Well, I guess like my final word is anybody's looking to go on a health journey, like I mentioned, have your goals clear and concise, but also, you know, I guess not like look at me as, I guess, kind of like quote unquote the example, because I'm a trucker, you know, so living that sedentary lifestyle and, you know, being on the road for, you know, months at a time and whatnot, it just took me being a little bit more proactive. You know, I got a fridge, and, you know, I got the equipment like a blender, like a food processor, and all this stuff, and like put it in the truck just to make sure I set myself up for success.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just in case like I had any cravings or like any, you know, bad thoughts or anything like that. You know, I always had something that was, you know, ready to like grab. Fruit is the easiest thing, because you could just, you know, I mean, make sure you rinse it and wash it, but, you know, it's grab and go. So
Right.
you know, definitely. I mean, I want everybody to succeed. I want to see, you know, more success stories. I want to, you know, meet people from the community and them tell me about their stories. As you know, it's all about support and encouraging each other. So
Absolutely. All right, brother. Um, with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power, and we will see you all next time.